So I actually wasn't planning on making any videos on this topic, so this is going to be my one and only video, and then we're going to get back to the music. So I'm sure all of you are aware and have been somewhat affected by what's currently going on in the world. I don't need to actually mention it because you know. And I've been talking to a good amount of other musicians online, first just seeing their posts, reading their tweets, their Instagram videos and stuff, talking about how the whole current music industry is kind of just collapsed. Festivals are getting canceled, tours are getting canceled, people's incomes are being cut in half. Talked to a couple people who said like their main 2 or 3 sources of income are just dead in the water right now, which is horrible. And that's pretty standard. If you have all these touring agencies or management groups or anyone that organizes live events, their whole livelihoods have just been kind of ripped apart. And the whole point of this video isn't to dwell on all the negatives, because there's plenty of that going on in the news right now. It's really to talk about what we can do as a music community to better prepare ourselves in the future. Because right now it's the live industry that's getting affected the most, which doesn't affect me, and it probably doesn't affect a lot of you. If you mostly just release music online, your numbers actually might be doing better right now because more people are home and consuming streaming and video formats, but they're not going out to these live events. But the big warning of all of this is that next time it could be us as the online people, whether that's YouTube or Facebook or whoever deciding to increase their advertising costs, because that happens. Back in the day when Google Ads came out, it was super cheap and companies were making millions because it was so cheap to get customers. And then they raised their ads by like a factor of a couple multipliers on top of the cost, and businesses just collapsed. And if Facebook does that, you could find your whole business just collapsing. It could also be something else, the EU putting new data laws where you can't talk to your existing customer base because of some rule regarding collecting personal data or whatever. These laws are always changing, and we don't own any of that, or we can't control any of that. But just like the current situation that we can't control, there are things we can't control. For example, if you're affected by this, you might find yourself with a lot more free time. I don't have any more free time because I have the ability to luckily work from home. So my day job is unaffected, and most of my music stuff, all of it is online. So I'm pretty much unaffected. But if you have more time for this, I would advise you to use that time to figure out ways to improve yourself, whether that's actually improving your skills or improving and discovering new ways to diversify your income stream, so that when the next internet thing hits, maybe one big pillar of your business goes down, but you're not just screwed. Or if you're in the live industry, I'm sure right now you're thinking of how can I make it so that in the future, when the next big world-changing event happens, it's not your whole business that comes down, it's one sector of your business. So if you're in the situation where you have a lot more free time now, use it, because something is going to happen, whether it's like what we have going on now or whether it's something completely different. What I don't want to see happen is artists just wasting this time that they have or not understanding the implications of what happened this time to better prepare themselves for the future. This is all a big learning experience. Back when the internet bubble happened, people learned and prepared for the future. And back when the ad cost of Google rose, people learned how to adapt and prepare to the future. We need to look at this and we need to think, how can we prepare ourselves for the future? Because the big labels can afford to just bleed money for months, just waiting for whatever event to happen to go away. But as an independent artist, we can't do that. You might, if you're lucky, and we're not lucky, but if you're smart and you work hard, you might be able to get a few months of income saved up as a buffer. But you can't do that for like a year. Whereas a label with multi-million dollars of revenue and cash flow and a big reserve, they might be able to sustain themselves for a better part of a year by like laying people off and then rehiring when the event comes after. But as an independent artist, it all comes down to you. So I don't want to see every time this happens, independent artists get crushed and labels just kind of rise back up. I want to see independent artists coming back and being better prepared, because the future shouldn't be labels. The future should be an independent music world. So the overall message I'm trying to say is just pay attention to what's going on. If you have extra free time because you're affected by this, I'm very sorry to hear that, but use it to your advantage and try to make yourself better prepared in the future. If you're not affected, look at the people who are affected and try to figure out ways to protect what you have so that when the next thing that affects you happens, it doesn't affect you as much. In terms of the health stuff, I'm not a professional. Listen to whoever the relevant professionals in your area, country, whatever are. Do the best to stay safe. Again, if you're affected, let me know in the comments. I'm sure there's other people who are also subscribed to this channel who are affected. If for some reason this is the first video you've ever seen of mine, I usually do music production, gear reviews, and music marketing advice. So if you like that kind of stuff, subscribe. Anyways, thank you very much. We'll be back to the music content on Friday. Thank you very much for watching, and stay safe, everyone.